The Galactic Council's verdict. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened to discuss the fate of a peculiar species known as humans. Representatives from countless alien civilizations gathered in the Grand Chamber, their eyes fixed upon the central podium. Murmurs of curiosity and apprehension filled the air as the council's speaker, a tall, ethereal being named Xyloth, called the assembly to order. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, Xyloth began, his voice resonating through the chamber. We have gathered here today to address the matter of the human species, a relatively young civilization that has recently made its presence known on the galactic stage. The chamber fell silent as Xyloth continued. Our observers have closely monitored the humans' progress and have compiled a comprehensive report on their behavior, capabilities, and potential impact on the galactic community. Xyloth's eyes scanned the room, gauging the reactions of the various representatives. Some leaned forward in anticipation, while others exchanged nervous glances. The report has revealed a startling conclusion, Xyloth announced, his voice tinged with a mixture of awe and concern. The human species possesses an extraordinary quality, one that sets them apart from any other civilization we have encountered thus far. The council members held their breath, waiting for Xyloth to reveal the nature of this quality. Humans, Xyloth declared, are too stubborn to die. A wave of murmurs and gasps rippled through the chamber as the representatives processed this revelation. Xyloth raised a hand, silencing the crowd. Our observations have shown that humans possess an unparalleled resilience and adaptability. They have faced countless challenges, both on their own world and in the depths of space, and have consistently emerged stronger and more determined than ever. The Arcturian representative, a diminutive, insectoid being, rose from its seat. But surely their stubbornness alone cannot be enough to warrant such a declaration. It chittered, its antennae twitching with skepticism. Xyloth nodded, acknowledging the Arcturian's concerns. You are correct, esteemed representative. It is not merely their stubbornness that has led us to this conclusion, but rather the ways in which they harness that quality. Humans have demonstrated an uncanny ability to unite in the face of adversity, to innovate and create solutions when all seems lost, and to persevere against seemingly insurmountable odds. As the council members absorbed Xyloth's words, a sense of unease began to permeate the chamber. The Zorgian representative, a hulking, reptilian creature, spoke up, its voice deep and guttural. If the humans are indeed as resilient as you claim, what does this mean for the rest of the galactic community? How can we be certain that they will not pose a threat to our own civilizations? Xyloth raised a hand, his expression thoughtful. That, my fellow council members, is precisely why we have convened today. We must decide how to approach this unique species and determine the best course of action for the greater good of the galaxy. As the council members erupted into a heated debate, each offering their own opinions and concerns, one thing became abundantly clear. The humans had left an indelible mark on the galactic stage, and their stubborn refusal to succumb to the challenges of the universe would have far-reaching consequences for all. The indomitable human spirit. Deep within the heart of the Sol system, on a small blue planet teeming with life and potential, Captain Ilara Vance stood on the bridge of the ISS Endeavour. A seasoned astronaut and brilliant engineer, Ilara had dedicated her life to exploring the frontiers of space and pushing the boundaries of human achievement. As she gazed out at the endless expanse of stars through the ship's viewport, Ilara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and determination. Humanity had come so far since its early days on Earth, overcoming countless obstacles and challenges to establish a presence among the stars. Ilara's thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of her second-in-command, Commander Liam Novak, a tall, broad-shouldered man with piercing blue eyes and a perpetual grin. Liam was known throughout the fleet for his unwavering optimism and quick wit. Captain, Liam greeted her with a nod and a smile. The crew is ready for the mission briefing. We're all eager to hear what new adventures await us out there. Ilara returned the smile, feeling a surge of confidence in her team. They were the best of the best, handpicked for their skills, intellect, and unwavering dedication to the cause of human exploration and discovery. As they made their way to the briefing room, Ilara's mind wandered to the countless examples of human resilience and adaptability she had witnessed throughout her career. From the early days of space exploration, when brave men and women risked their lives to venture into the unknown, to the establishment of permanent human colonies on Mars and beyond, humanity had consistently proven its ability to overcome even the most daunting of challenges. One such example stood out in Ilara's mind: Operation Stardust. When a massive asteroid had been detected on a collision course with Earth 3 years prior, the world's nations had put aside their differences and worked together to devise a plan to save humanity from extinction. Within a year, an international team of scientists and engineers led by brilliant astrophysicist Dr. Lena Sato had designed and built a fleet of cutting-edge spacecraft equipped with advanced mining technology and high-powered lasers capable of breaking apart the approaching asteroid. The mission itself had been fraught with peril, as the brave astronauts tasked with carrying out the operation faced everything from malfunctioning equipment to unexpected debris fields and solar flares. At one point, a critical system failure had left half the fleet stranded without power or life support, facing certain death in the cold vacuum of space. But even in their darkest hour, humanity's stubborn refusal to give up had shone through. Using nothing but ingenuity, courage, and sheer force of will, the stranded astronauts had managed to repair their damaged systems using scavenged parts and improvised tools. With only minutes to spare before their oxygen ran out, they had successfully rejoined their comrades and completed their mission, blasting the asteroid into harmless fragments that burned up harmlessly in Earth's atmosphere. As Ilara entered the briefing room, she felt a renewed sense of purpose and pride in her species' indomitable spirit. She knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, humanity would continue to innovate, adapt, and persevere, driven by an unshakable belief in its own potential and destiny. Liam's voice cut through her musings as he addressed the assembled crew. "All right, everyone," he said with his trademark grin. "Let's hear what the captain has in store for us today. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to take on the universe." Ilara couldn't help but chuckle at her second-in-command's enthusiasm. With a team like this at her side, she knew that nothing was impossible. The indomitable human spirit would continue to shine brightly, illuminating the path to a future filled with wonder, discovery, and endless possibility. An unprecedented alliance. Light years away from Earth, on the distant world of Zephyria, a very different scene was unfolding. The Zephyrians, a proud and warlike species, had long viewed humans as weak and inferior, unworthy of their attention or respect. For generations, they had watched from afar as humanity struggled to establish a foothold in the galaxy, scoffing at their efforts and dismissing them as futile. But recent events had forced the Zephyrians to reconsider their assessment of the human species. A new threat had emerged on the galactic stage, a race of parasitic aliens known as the Vorith, who possessed the ability to infect and control other life forms, turning them into mindless slaves. The Vorith had already conquered dozens of worlds, their armies growing with each new planet they assimilated. The Zephyrians, for all their strength and martial prowess, had found themselves outmatched and on the brink of defeat. In a desperate bid for survival, the Zephyrian High Council had reached out to the only other species they believed stood a chance against the Vorith, the humans. At first, the human leadership had been skeptical of the Zephyrians' intentions. The two species had a long history of animosity and mistrust, and many on both sides doubted that an alliance could ever be forged. But as reports of the Vorith's atrocities continued to pour in, and the threat to the entire galaxy became impossible to ignore, the humans and Zephyrians had reluctantly agreed to put aside their differences and work together to combat the common enemy. Now, in a secret meeting place on a neutral world, representatives from both species gathered to discuss strategy and forge an unprecedented alliance. Captain Elara Vance found herself face to face with the Zephyrian Commander Zorax, a towering, fearsome warrior with piercing yellow eyes and a face covered in ritual scars. Despite her initial apprehension, Elara could see a glimmer of respect in Zorax's gaze as he studied her intently. "Captain Vance," Zorax began, his voice a deep, rumbling growl. "I never thought I would see the day when my people would seek aid from yours. But the Vorith have proven to be a foe unlike any we have ever faced. If we are to have any hope of defeating them, we must combine our strengths and fight as one." Elara nodded, her expression serious but determined. "I agree, Commander Zorax. The Vorith threaten not just our own species, but the entire galaxy. We cannot afford to let old grudges and prejudices stand in the way of our survival." As the two leaders began to discuss tactics and share intelligence on the enemy, a sense of cautious optimism began to take hold. The humans and Zephyrians, for all their differences, shared a common goal and a fierce determination to protect their way of life. Over the next several weeks, the alliance began to take shape. Human scientists and engineers worked alongside their Zephyrian counterparts to develop new weapons and defenses designed specifically to combat the Vorith. Zephyrian warriors trained alongside human soldiers, learning new techniques and strategies for fighting the parasitic invaders. And at the heart of it all, Captain Elara Vance and Commander Zorax forged an unlikely but powerful bond, their mutual respect and trust growing with each passing day. As the Alliance prepared to launch its first major offensive against the Vorith, Elara couldn't help but marvel at the incredible resilience and adaptability of her own species. Faced with an existential threat, humanity had once again risen to the challenge, forging new alliances and finding common ground with even its most bitter rivals. She knew that the battle ahead would be long and difficult, with no guarantee of success. But with the combined strength and determination of the human Zephyrian alliance, she believed that anything was possible. And so, as the first ships of the Allied fleet set out to meet the Vorith head-on, Elara felt a sense of pride and purpose unlike anything she had ever known before. The indomitable human spirit, it seemed, knew no bounds, and together with their new allies, they would fight to the very end to defend the galaxy and all the wonders it contained. The turning point. The battle raged on, the vacuum of space, lit up by the explosive flashes of weapons fire and the burning wreckage of destroyed ships. The Allied fleet, a motley assortment of human and Zephyrian vessels, fought with a desperate ferocity against the relentless onslaught of the Vorith invaders. At the heart of the conflict, the ISS Endeavour and its crew, led by Captain Elara Vance, found themselves in the thick of the fighting. The ship shuddered and groaned under the impact of enemy fire, its shields straining to hold back the deadly energy beams and missile barrages. On the bridge, Elara gripped the armrests of her command chair, her face set in grim determination as she studied the tactical displays. The situation was dire. Despite the bravery and skill of the Allied forces, the Vorith continued to press their advantage, their numbers seemingly endless and their resolve unbreakable. "Captain," Commander Liam Novik's voice cut through the chaos. "We've lost contact with the Zephyrian flagship. They're not responding to hails." Elara felt a cold knot of fear form in her gut. If the Zephyrians had fallen, the Alliance was doomed. "Keep trying to raise them," she ordered. "We need to know what's happening over there." As Liam worked to reestablish communications, Elara turned to her science officer, Dr. Lena Sato. "Doctor, tell me you have something. We need a way to turn the tide of this battle. And fast." Lena, her brow furrowed in concentration, looked up from her console. "I think I might have something, Captain. Our scans have identified a weakness in the Vorith's organic armor, a molecular flaw that we might be able to exploit." Elara leaned forward, hope flaring in her chest. "Go on." "If we can modify our weapons to emit a specific frequency of energy, we might be able to disrupt the Vorith's armor at a cellular level, rendering them vulnerable to our attacks." Elara nodded, her mind racing. How long will it take to make the necessary modifications? With the help of our Zephyrian allies, I estimate we could have a prototype ready within the hour. Do it, Ilara ordered, and let's pray it works. As Lena and her team set to work on the weapon modifications, Ilara turned her attention back to the battle at hand. The Endeavor shook violently as another volley of enemy fire slammed into its shields, the bridge lights flickering ominously. Suddenly, the communications console crackled to life, and a familiar voice filled the air. "This is Commander Zorax of the Zephyrian flagship. We are heavily damaged, but still in the fight. Requesting immediate assistance." Ilara felt a surge of relief wash over her. The Zephyrians were still alive, and with them, the Alliance still had a chance. "Commander Zorax, this is Captain Vance. We're on our way. Hold tight." As the Endeavor and a small fleet of Allied ships raced to the aid of the Zephyrian flagship, Ilara couldn't help but marvel at the incredible resilience and determination of her crew and their allies. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, they refused to give up, their stubborn human spirit driving them to keep fighting, no matter the cost. And then, just as all seemed lost, Dr. Seto's voice rang out over the comm. "Captain, the weapon modifications are complete. We're ready to test the prototype." Ilara felt a thrill of excitement and hope course through her veins. This was it, the turning point they had been waiting for. With a nod to her weapons officer, she gave the order. "Fire at will." The Endeavor's modified weapons lanced out, their energy beams cutting through the void of space like the blades of a sword. And as they struck the Vorith ships, something incredible happened. The enemy vessels shuddered and convulsed, their organic armor shattering like glass under the onslaught of the new weapon. One by one, the Vorith ships began to fall, their hulls rupturing and their crews consumed by the cold vacuum of space. Across the battlefield, the tide of the conflict began to turn, as the Allied ships, armed with the new weapon, pressed their advantage. The Vorith, once seemingly invincible, now found themselves on the defensive, their forces in disarray and their conquest ground to a halt. And at the center of it all, Captain Ilara Vance and her crew stood tall, their faces alight with the fierce joy of victory. They had done it, against all odds. The human spirit, combined with the strength and determination of their allies, had proven too stubborn to be broken. As the last of the Vorith ships fell silent and the battle came to an end, Ilara knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had been forever changed by the events of this day, and the alliance between humans and Zephyrians would go down in history as a shining example of what could be achieved when two species put aside their differences and fought together for a common cause. And as the Endeavor and its crew set out to return home, Ilara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and hope for the future. The indomitable human spirit, it seemed, was a force to be reckoned with, and together with their new allies, they would face whatever challenges the universe had in store, ready to fight and win, no matter the odds. A new era dawns. News of the Allied victory over the Vorith spread like wildfire throughout the galaxy, sparking celebrations and renewed hope among the countless species who had lived in fear of the parasitic invaders. On Earth and Zephyria, the streets were filled with cheering crowds as people of all ages and backgrounds came together to honor the brave men and women who had risked everything to defend their way of life. At the heart of the celebrations, Captain Ilara Vance and her crew. At the heart of the celebrations, Captain Ilara Vance and her crew found themselves hailed as heroes, their names and faces splashed across news feeds and holo-displays from one end of the galaxy to the other. Ilara, ever the humble leader, took it all in stride, insisting that the victory belonged to every member of the Alliance, human and Zephyrian alike. As the dust settled and the celebrations began to wind down, the leaders of the Galactic Council once again convened to discuss the implications of the Allied victory and the role that humanity had played in it. This time, however, the tone of the meeting was markedly different. as the council members spoke with a newfound respect and admiration for the human species. Xyloth, the council's speaker, rose to address the assembled representatives, his voice filled with a mix of awe and humility. "My fellow council members," he began, "we have borne witness to an event that will be remembered for generations to come. The human species, once viewed by many as a mere curiosity or potential threat, has proven itself to be a force for good in the galaxy, a shining example of the power of unity and determination in the face of overwhelming odds." The council chamber erupted in applause as the representatives of countless species nodded their agreement. Xyloth, his eyes shining with emotion, continued, "It is clear now that we were wrong to judge humanity solely on the basis of their stubborn nature. That very quality, combined with their ingenuity, courage, and unwavering commitment to their allies, has shown us all what true strength and resilience look like." As the council members debated and discussed the implications of the Allied victory, Ilara and her crew found themselves at the center of a new era of cooperation and understanding between humans and the other species of the galaxy. Trade agreements were signed, scientific collaborations were forged, and cultural exchanges became commonplace as the old barriers of mistrust and prejudice began to crumble away. For Ilara, the true reward for her efforts came in the form of the lasting friendships and partnerships she had forged with her Zephyrian allies, particularly Commander Zorax. The two leaders, once bitter enemies, now stood side by side as symbols of the new era of peace and cooperation that had dawned in the wake of the Vorath War. As the ISS Endeavour and its crew set out on a new mission of exploration and discovery, Ilara couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. The human spirit, she knew, had been tested like never before, and it had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever. And as she gazed out at the endless expanse of stars and galaxies that lay before them, Ilara felt a sense of hope and excitement for the future. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and with their new allies at their side, humanity was ready to take its place among the great civilizations of the galaxy, united in their determination to explore, discover, and build a better tomorrow for all. Years later, as the children of Earth and Zephyria grew up learning about the Great Alliance and the heroes who had made it possible, they would look to the stars with a sense of pride and purpose, knowing that they too carried within them the same stubborn, indomitable spirit that had carried their ancestors to victory against impossible odds. And though the galaxy would continue to hold many challenges and dangers, the legacy of Captain Ilara Vance and her crew would endure, a shining beacon of hope and inspiration for generations to come. For in the end, it was not the vastness of space or the power of their weapons that had made the difference, but the unbreakable bonds of friendship, trust, and shared purpose that had united them all, human and alien alike, in the face of their greatest challenge. And so, as the Alliance looked to the future with renewed hope and determination, they knew that whatever trials lay ahead, they would face them together, united in their diversity and strengthened by the knowledge that the human spirit, once given the chance to shine, could light the way forward for all the peoples of the galaxy, now and forever.